You are watching STV 6 p.m. News live from our headquarters here in Accra, in the city of Douala. The headlines. The Central African Network of Human Rights Defenders, REDAC, has called for an independent investigation to shed light on the brutal killings of students of Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy. In a press conference today here in the nation's economic capital, the right groups expressed dissatisfaction with government officials who visited the bereaved families. And in sport, the inspector of the Confederation of African Football have visited some sporting infrastructure here in Douala to host the games of the 2020 African Nations Championship. These and many more in WOW. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. I am Catherine Kone. As earlier mentioned in our headline, REDAC has called for an independent investigation to shed light on the brutal killings of 7 students in Kumba. At the press conference here in Douala, the right defenders, or right groups rather, has condemned the attitude of some government officials who visited grieving families. Details with Peter Suse.
The Human Rights Defense Network for Central Africa, REDAC, is outraged by the repeated killings of women and children within the disturbing context of the Anglophone crisis. The case of 7 students in Kumba is still fresh.
This attack violates the provision of the African Charter on Human and People Rights, particularly Articles 4 on the right of the life and 17 on the right to education.
The Ministry of Communication reveals that a suspect named Wonke involved in the Kumba massacre has been neutralized, but the rights group wants government to launch an independent investigation in a bid to establish the actors of the heinous crime.
REDAC also calls on the government of Cameroon to finally accept the establishment and operationalization of an independent fact-finding mission to unmask the instigators and perpetrators of these killings that they accumulating and casting opprobrium on Cameroon.
Noting that the Anglophone crisis is a political and not a military problem, REDAC is frowning at the government for handling the Kumba matter.
REDAC takes offense of the government's insistence on encouraging parents to send their children to school without this encouragement having been surrounded by all the necessary guarantees of security measures. Even more shocking are the pernickety and risky outbursts of certain members of the government, the Minister of Territorial Administration and his colleague of communication.
The Rights Network has also denied accusations that its board chair, Barrister Aliscom, is a sympathizer of Anglophone separatists, urging both parties to shift from their original positions in a bid to create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Now, some inhabitants in the city of Douala have condemned the gruesome killing of students in Kumba, that is on Saturday, October 24, 2020. Our reporter, Christel Asek, in the following report, captured their reaction.
Following the tragic killings of some school children on Saturday, October 24, 2020, at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Kumba, Meme Division of the Southwest region of Cameroon, some inhabitants met this morning in the streets of Douala, expressed their grief to this gruesome and barbaric act. This is a situation that no Cameroonian will condone with. I can't comprehend how individuals will decide to gun down innocent children. Whatever the issue, dialogue is the way forward, not taking their grievances on innocent children. Angels, I mean, the situation has to stop and let Cameroonians all live in peace, because Cameroon is one and indivisible.
Nous avons dépassé le Rubicon, c'est un peu trop. Bon, à ce moment, je pense que
We have reached the climax. It's just too much. The authorities have to take serious actions. It's not children to pay for something they know nothing about. Sincerely, the head of state has to take serious measures to end these killings. For these mothers, this act is abominable and wicked. It's abominable as a mother, a parent, a human being. No one can accept being killed because no one gives life. Only God gives life. Sincerely, it hurts. I watched those pictures with tears. The President of the Republic has to take measures to end those killings because innocent people are losing their lives, which is not logical. October 24, 2020, a date that will forever remain engraved in the minds of the people of Kumba, Cameroon, and the entire universe.
The Minister of Communication, Rene Emmanuel Sadi, in a press release signed on October 28, 2020, says the government of Cameroon has neutralized an alleged killer of the October 24 school massacre in Kumba. The suspect that goes by a nickname Wonke was put out of harm's way following a search operation carried out by the Defense and Security of Forces. According to the minister, he was arrested thanks to the close collaboration of the local population. The suspect was held in his room, that is in Kosala, a neighborhood in Kumba. The government also specifies that the operation to neutralize the rest of the gunmen will continue. And now Cameroon has observed about 8 national mourning days following a series of natural disasters and terrorist attacks that have claimed the lives of several Cameroonians unexpectedly. Josephine Binzi in the following report takes us down memory lane on a battery of events that have led to the declaration. Her report.
Some travel agencies in Douala have
31st October has been set aside as national mourning for 7 victims who died on the 24th of October 2020 at the Mother Teresa International Primary School in Kumba, Memé Division of the Southwest Region, according to Article 2 of the Presidential Decree. Cameroon has had more than 6 national mourning days in the past, with the most recent being 9th of November 2019 to honor the victims of Gouaché Bafoussam of the West Region as a landslide claimed the lives of 43 persons. 21st June 2017 was also set aside to honor the lives of military officials who died in Dara following attacks by Boko Haram. Still in line with military officials, 2 national days were set aside on the 28th and 29th of July as a boat sunk in Mundembandian Division in the Southwest Region with 34 bees who died. 18th of May 2016 was declared a national mourning by His Excellency President Biya to honor the 114 lives lost in the Kenyan Airways Boeing that crashed into the swamps of Bangapongo few minutes after taking off from the Douala International Airport. Cameroonians and several nationals were caught in the web of this event that drew the sympathy of the international community, as 16th of October 2015 was declared national mourning for Cameroonian pilgrims who died in Saudi Arabia. 14th of October 2016 was equally declared national mourning to honor the 70 victims of the Zeka train crash. August 21, 1986, a gas eruption in Lake Nyos in the then northwest province of Cameroon killed about 1,834 people alongside 3,500 livestock within a 12-mile radius, with victims who suffered vomiting, paralysis, and rapid death, while others lost the outer layer of their skin. These events drew the empathy of the entire nation, given the level of damage and pain it wrought upon the people. Healing from natural disasters where lives of hundreds and thousands of people are lost is one of the most bitter pills Cameroon has had to deal with, as National Mourning Days were set aside in commemoration of the victims who lost their lives in tragic natural disasters. This is the first national mourning declared by the President of the Republic in relation to the killings and the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
We now take you to the far north region of the country, where about 10 people were kidnapped on October 28, 2020 in Goderi, that is in the far north region of the country. In the morning of Wednesday at about 10:30, the terrorist sect Boko Haram kidnapped at least 9 people in a field in Goderi, and the victims include 4 men, 3 girls and 2 women. We shall be bringing you updates in the course of our newscast. The payment of toilet fees is still in vogue in some travel agencies in Douala, despite the order from the Minister of Transport banning the payment of toilet fees. Passengers blame the situation on laxivity rather from authorities. Details with Peter Susi.
Some travel agencies in Douala have confirmed that they no longer charge fees for using their toilets, in line with an instruction from the Minister of Transport. If you are a client and want to ease yourself, we have toilets that are free. You can use as you want, and there are no restrictions. However, usage of this facility can only be guaranteed by a passenger's ticket. It suffices for you to have your ticket, and the toilet is yours. These restrooms are of good sanitary standards and modern. The case is not similar in other travel agencies, as passengers complain that they are being compelled to pay in order to use toilets. We have toilets nearby and we pay 100 francs. We are used to paying the money to ease ourselves. The disrespect of government's order has been blamed on inertia from authorities. People talk in high places, but have they come down to see its implementation? They talk and stay there. Some passengers want government to sanction recalcitrant travel agencies in a bid to avoid a repeat of the ugly scuffle which led to the death of a gendarmerie officer at a travel agency in Douala.
And now some youths from the northwest and southwest region of the country have ended a 2-day workshop organized by UNESCO in a collaboration with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education on strengthening their capacity on promoting peace, social cohesion and living together at the local level. Details with John Paul Saba.
For over 2 days, some members of the civil society from the northwest and southwest regions have been drilled on ways to be promoters of peace and national unity within the country.
Your sense of responsibility, innovation and insight, your availability, dynamism and fertile imagination will be expressed on the ground to enable you to apply in the best possible manner and according to your local realities the lessons learned to build a peaceful and prosperous Cameroon, where all Cameroonians earnestly desire to live together as one.
These youth, now peace ambassadors, are expected to take what they've learned here and apply it in their various localities.
My name is Tebi Luis. I am a UNESCO Peace Ambassador from the northwest region of Cameroon. This workshop, building the skills of young people in their participation in local governance, has gone a long way in empowering me with skills, with tools, and connecting me to other young people who are in the space of peace building. It will go a long way in empowering me to reach out to the needs of fellow young people in my community by working and fetching for their rights that meet their needs. In that light, it will help them become better persons in their community.
The major aim of this workshop is to drill them to work towards a peaceful and prosperous Cameroon.
Witnessed a slight increase this month from 1,000 francs CFA. The cocoa price is now at 1,050 francs. With more of this with Peter Susse.
Cocoa farmers in Cameroon are smiling over a slight increase in the price of cocoa beans. Data from Fier Information System indicate that the price, which has stagnated since September 3 at 1,000 francs, is now 1,050 francs. The price increase, however, contrasts with the rainy season, which usually does not favor high prices. During the dry season, easy access for buyers to the main production areas due to better road conditions make the prices cheaper. The trend has been on the rise since 2019, with the price per kilogram moving from 900 francs CFA at the start of February 2019 to 1,000 francs CFA towards the end of the year. The price was also applied in production areas of the Centre, Littoral and South regions in 2020, where it even stood at 1,200 francs CFA. The Southwest region, which is the highest producing area, could not do much due to the socio-political crisis rocking the region. Despite the good news, smallholder farmers who are at the core of the value chain are yet to derive full benefits of their labor.
And on to something else, the glory days of vendors of COVID-19 kits here in the city of Douala. COVID-19 kits like face mask, hand sanitizer and buckets have gone sour as businesses say is no longer flourishing. Details in the following report. After enjoying good business imposed by the outbreak of the coronavirus for some months now, vendors of hand sanitizers, face masks, buckets are now on the dark side of this business. Business has totally died because at the beginning everybody wanted to produce a bucket for the washing of hands, but today we are unable to sell since people have abandoned, giving us the impression that coronavirus is finished.
Bon, aujourd'hui, il y a eu un relâchement parce que de plus en plus les gens non seulement ne mettent plus les caches.
Today, there seems to be relaxation because people don't longer wear face masks or even buy hand sanitizers. They use more of soap, reasons why business for hand sanitizer has dropped. They say the demands for these kits has drastically dropped. We have stopped production except someone place an order. We stopped producing because business is not booming. I used to sell 50 bottles of hand sanitizer, but now I sell just 20 bottles per day. At a given time, we are obliged to advise and make people to understand that the disease is real. I will try to propose a product to them. At the point when cases of the novel coronavirus are increasing in Cameroon, more people are becoming lukewarm towards respecting the barrier measures imposed by the government and the World Health Organization. We now take you to news out of the country. U.S. lawmakers attack social media CEOs for taking down and labeling some speech. The CEOs of Facebook, Google and Twitter testified before a Senate committee hearing just days before the U.S. election. VOA with more.
The worlds of big tech in Washington converged on Wednesday as the CEOs of Twitter, Google, and Facebook appeared, virtually, before a U.S. Senate committee.
We welcome our panel.
The lawmakers called the hearing to discuss a U.S. law that shields tech firms from legal liability for speech posted on their sites. It was really an occasion to air a host of complaints about the firm's recent decisions. Some Republican senators argued that tech companies were acting arbitrarily by blocking or labeling conservative content.
But the fact that selective censorship is occurring in the midst of the 2020 election cycle dramatically amplifies the power wielded by Facebook and Twitter.
Democrats questioned Republicans' timing of the hearing, with the U.S. election less than a week away.
They seem to want to bully and browbeat the platforms here to try to tilt them toward President Trump favor.
For its part, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey pointed to efforts to give users some control over the algorithms that determine what content they see.
We took a first step in making this more transparent by building a button to turn off our home timeline algorithms. Enabling people to choose algorithms created by third parties to rank and filter their content is an incredibly energizing idea that's in reach.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg seemed to welcome outside intervention on determining the limits of online speech.
When a private company is making these calls, we need a more accountable process that people feel is legitimate and that gives platforms certainty.
Alexander Givens of the Center for Democracy and Technology says the government is limited in what it can tell tech companies they can do around speech on their sites.
Under our Constitution, the government can't tell Facebook, you need to take down this awful but lawful speech. But a platform like Facebook can make that decision. What we really need to be focusing on is how platforms are using their power responsibly.
Considering the massive reach and influence of these tech giants, some experts contend that lawmakers shouldn't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Where the real accountability might come is through antitrust law or privacy law. That these are ways of regulating the internet companies' behavior on topics that don't directly relate to the speech.
With the U.S. election just days away, the hearing underscored one thing: the critical role that internet firms play today. Tina Trin, VOA News, New York.
Let's now talk about sport. Inspectors of the Confederation of African Football have visited some sporting infrastructures in Douala to host games of the 2020 African Nations Championship. Our reporter John Paul Sama brings to us a roundup of their visit here in Douala today.
With barely a few months to the start of the 2020 African Nations Championship, emissaries of the Confederation of African Football landed in Douala this Thursday to carry out a crucial inspection of the site's credentials ahead of this major continental soccer jamboree. The team from the airport went straight to visiting the major sidelined infrastructures in the city, making stops at the two stadiums to host this event. Here at the Douala Reunification Stadium, the Confederation of African Football team, accompanied by the president of the local organizing committee and his members, made a tour of the stadium as well as its annex. The city of Douala is expected to host two poles of the upcoming African Nations Championship at the Bepanda Reunification Stadium and at the Japoma Stadium. This, coupled with the hotel and other accompanying infrastructures that are expected to ease the stay of the 8 teams in the economic capital. The African Nations Championship 2020 begins on the 16th of January 2021 to run through till the 7th of February.
Now, some elite club presidents in Cameroon have voted or have with one accord voted to dissolve the Cameroon Professional Football League. This decision was arrived at during the General Assembly in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. That brings us to the end of the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. Take the rendezvous at exactly 8 p.m. for the French version of the news with Oriane Donkin. Good evening once more.